Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 17th of March, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Motown Noah. St. Patrick's Day special here at the Coping Hour. Who would have thunk it? First annual St. Patrick's Day episode, actually, here at the Coping Hour. That did not happen a year ago. It's pretty fun. St. Patrick's Day. What is it? What is it here in America culturally? What is it? I should say this first. Talk about what is St. Patrick's Day. Just in general, you have to wear green. For those of you who are only able to use today's program as an audio-only experience, you're listening to today's show, you're wondering to yourself, is he wearing green? I am. Do not worry. Don't have to pinch me. Got it on my hat. Got it on my cardigan. Draped in the green today. Of course I would be. It's St. Patrick's Day. And what do we know about St. Patrick's Day? Well, you drink, of course. Some Guinness. Not a huge fan. Guinness was how I learned that you can't just drink beer with anything. And that you actually, like pairing alcohol or pairing liquor with what you're actually eating. Was at B-Dubs. Having some wings. You ever eat chicken wings and drink a dark beer? Nope. Don't do that. Nope. That's how I learned. That's how I learned I wasn't a huge Guinness guy. I'm just not a big dark beer guy. Okay. Well, what else is there? Take some shots of Jameson. You could do that. Okay. All right. Sure. Been there. Been there before. Fun time. Passed a dive bar the other day. Fireball shots, $2. Whoa. $2 for a fireball shot. Now, my Midwestern brain, here's how, this is boy math, I think is what it is. This is how I quantify the value of something. Okay, so $2 fireball shots, one Little Caesars pizza, $5. So I can either get one entire pizza or 2.5 shots of Fireball. That seems like it's a good deal. So you're telling me I could have, 5 shots of Fireball for the same price as 2 pizzas? I would be as drunk from the Fireball as I would be full from eating the pizza. Do you know what I mean? And so that seems like that's an incredible deal. You can drink some Jameson. What else is there on St. Patrick's Day? Destruction. There's some destruction. People go a little wild on St. Patrick's Day. You see a lot of fights. It's kind of one of those holidays. It's almost like the Purge in some way. Just in the sense that I never attended a college, a university. I never did that. But St. Patrick's Day, very big on campuses around the country here in America. Seems like people always get into fights on St. Patrick's Day. It's almost like the guy that you've been waiting to get into a fight with forever. You see somebody get into a fight, you're like, oh, they finally fought that person. Or they got too drunk and they finally fought that person. It's St. Patrick's Day. Who cares? Like, people get drunk. So people get drunk at 9 o'clock in the morning. The other day, over the weekend, here in Chicago, they dye the river green every single year for St. Patrick's Day. This year, they did it on Saturday. So what happens is they do it at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. They do it super early in the day. And so people are just downtown all day, just super hammered. Well, there are also, as a consequence of that, and as a consequence of it being a major city, just a large concentration of people, more people get into fights. So r/Chicago the other day was sort of like cosplaying as r/WWE. Very funny to see a bunch of people get into some fights. That's how you know that the weather is starting to warm up here in Chicago. We had a 70-degree day the other day. I believe it was the same day, actually, that they dyed the river green. Beautiful weather outside. 70 degrees here in Chicago the other day. Sunday, I'm sorry, that was on Friday. So Saturday was maybe, 60 some odd degrees, about 66 degrees. Sunday here in Chicago, it snowed. Yep. Yeah. Had a 70-degree day, 60 some odd day. And then like low 20s, high wind, lots of snow. Got about an inch that accumulated on the ground. And then in 2 days, we'll be back into the 60s. Okay. Okay. By the time everybody's hungover from St. Patrick's Day, I've never done anything for St. Patrick's Day. I've never done that before. How else do you know that it's warming up outside here in Chicago? Well, I live on the Southside. So here's an impromptu segment, actually. Springtime in the Southside. How do you know that it has sprung? The aforementioned 70-degree day. We live right next to a park, right across the street from a park. And so you know that it's starting to warm up when you hear Nelly on somebody's loudspeakers at like 9:30 at night, and at a time that is not appropriate to be playing music on your loudspeakers in a somewhat residential area. Not very cool, but okay, but that just means that it's warming up. It's like you guys hear the birds chirping, I hear Nelly on loudspeakers. That's how I know that it's starting to warm up outside. How else do you know? When the slingshots start hitting the streets again. You guys know about slingshots? Those like little 3-wheeled, they're essentially 4-wheelers, but they're street legal and they're 3 wheels. Slingshots, people zipping around in those. That's how you know that. That's how you know that it's springtime on the South Side. What's one more? You know that it's the springtime on the South Side when you witness more phone calls happening on speakerphone on the side of the street in public spaces. And oh my God, this drives me insane. When somebody's on FaceTime, it's one thing to be on speakerphone in public in the first place. It's an entirely different thing. It's an entirely different thing when you're not just on the phone with them, you're on FaceTime, and it's obviously on speaker. You don't have headphones. Everybody can hear the conversation that you're having, but you're holding it up to your mouth like it's like you're not doing it like it's a FaceTime. You're doing it like it's a phone call. All the person sees is the sky. And I'm like, the functionality of a FaceTime is it's not contingent on you being able to see each other, because you don't have to do that. But I'm like, that's what the purpose of it is. It drives me up the wall when somebody's using FaceTime, but they're just treating it like it's a I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too judgmental. That's another way that you know that it's the springtime in the South Side. How do we get here? St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. Destruction, we were talking about that. Destruction may be the word of the opening minutes here, the opening segment here at the Coping Hour on this episode. Destruction. Because I've never seen an officiating group be as destructive. Is that a good segue? I don't think I did a good job there. I don't think I stuck the landing. I want to talk a little bit about the Pistons game, and I want to talk a little bit about the refs. JB Bickerstaff. Holding the officials accountable in a way that maybe we wouldn't have seen from a former Pistons coach. I think this is sort of in line with something that I would have been saying for the last 6 months as it pertains to the Pistons, where we just haven't seen a coach fight for the players the way that JB Bickerstaff has consistently done all season. And I think a boiling point for that was this most recent instance against the Oklahoma City Thunder post-game press conference. JB Bickerstaff was asked about the officiating in this game. Now, I could do the thing where I explain to you at 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter, this thing happened and it wasn't a foul because of this. I could go through all of the calls and no calls that happened. Like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander punching dudes in the chest and pushing off on jab steps and shit like that. That just doesn't get called. I'm not going to do that because the truth is that if you didn't see what I'm talking about, I'm not going to put it on the screen. So I don't need to waste time talking. The point from the main takeaway from the Pistons versus the Oklahoma City Thunder game was holy shit, the Pistons got hosed as far as the officiating was concerned. And no, look, man, we do home cooking on this show all the time. And I say super hyperbolic shit about the team that I root for. And it's such is life, right? That's what we do. But this was just objective, it's happening in front of America right now. People tune into this game to see two of the top 10 players in the world today, as far as the way that they've played this season, in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Cade Cunningham. Top 10 player in the world this season, by the way, Cade Cunningham. People turn this game on, and the refs just make it about themselves. That it feels so bad when that happens, and it feels infinitely worse when that happens, and it's your favorite team that's involved. You know what I mean? Because then it just stings so much worse. And Detroit sports fans at large aren't not used to this, right? How often well, first of all, in our lives, but if you go the last 15 years specifically, how many times Detroit sports fans, aka Lions fans here, have you been in this exact same situation where you're dude, in front of America, we just got hosed. Everybody saw what just happened. And it just makes there's like a weird comfort in that though. When like everybody's acknowledging that you guys got absolutely screwed, it doesn't change anything, but it's nice to know that like, okay, first of all, thanks for watching us. That was really cool. But like, second of all, okay, so it's not just us. This is where the, hey, I'm not trying to do home cooking shit thing comes in, because I'm not. The Pistons got absolutely fucked against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And JB Bickerstaff did something that we haven't had a coach in Detroit in, who's the last coach that you honestly feel like would have said all of the same shit that JB Bickerstaff just did? If we're being honest, Stan, probably SVG. So like not that long ago, like within the last 10 years for sure, but it's been dark since then. Dwayne Casey would have said something. It just would have been veiled so much more politely. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been, we wouldn't have been talking about like Dwayne Casey not fighting for his players, but like, I don't think Dwayne Casey would have ever have towed that line of getting fined. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's a problem. I think it's just who he is as a guy. He's not going to like get super riled up or be like, fuck the officiating, like straight up the way that JB Bickerstaff did. And so it's to me just a reflection of the culture that's being built in Detroit. Another thing that we've talked fucking ad nauseum about on this show this season is like, when you have a coach that will fight for the players will fight for the coach, and that also means the fans will fight for the team, and that they'll buy in and be like, okay, so you guys are actually taking this seriously. Guess what? Despite the fact that the Pistons have now lost, what is it, just like we've dropped 2 in a row? There was the Wizards game, which was like such a dumb game to lose. So fucking annoying to lose that game. But okay, whatever. But it's like, oh, now Oklahoma City comes to town. You play pretty competitively, all things considered. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander slipping on like his teammate's sneaker, and then we get called. By the way, I'm bearing the lead on this whole thing. The one thing that I'm sure you have seen, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? I'm sure the answer to yes. I'm sure. Fuck, I was on such a roll the last like 10 minutes, and I just fucked that up. I'm sure you would answer affirmatively in both of those instances. Cade Cunningham ejected in the third quarter of that game for just like asking the ref a question. Go look at the footage. Go look. It's insane. You've never seen anything like this in your entire life. You have not. Full stop. Like, he gets thrown out of the game. It's the most inexplicable shit I've ever seen happen on a basketball court. I don't know what happened. It seriously rivals, who was it that Scott Foster threw out of a game because they said something from the bench? Was it Tim Duncan? I feel like it was like randomly, of all people, it was like Tim Duncan. Someone will fact check me on this in the comments on one of the various platforms that the show is on. Was it that Scott Foster threw Tim Duncan out from the bench? I think it was something like that. I'm serious. I don't know what it was. The Pistons had 5 technical fouls called on them in the third quarter alone. Oh, okay. Because then like I get pissed off when, if Detroit loses to Oklahoma City, there's no shame in that. Oklahoma City is maybe the best team in the entire NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might be the best player in the world. He might be the MVP this season, right? Oklahoma City might win 65 games. There's no shame in losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It pisses me off when there was a chance that the Pistons would have won that game, one that they desperately need if they want to get that 4 seed, because right now they just dropped, as of this taping, to 2 games back. It's frustrating when you get fucked out of it because of some bullshit that had nothing to do with anything other than officials straight up being on power trips. Like when the crowd and apparently Cade's voice get in the heads of the officials to the degree that they did, I get pissed off, and then yes, I feel some type of way, because it's like, what the fuck? Like, I've waited so long for this team to actually be good. You at home have waited as the same amount of time as I have for this team to be as good as they are, and to get bullshitted out of a game against a team of Oklahoma City's caliber, because like I still can't figure out why. I say all of that. I do all of that buildup, right? I figured it out. I have the answer, ladies and gentlemen. It's time. I am unilaterally deciding here at the Coping Hour. I'm taping this on the 16th of March, year of our Lord 2020-25. It's time to bring the bad boys back. It has to be time. right? It's been sitting in the crock pot. It's been marinating. We've been checking on it. Is it time? Is it almost time? This Andre Drummond guy, no, not quite yet. Oh, but now we have Blake. It's not quite time yet. Oh, what about, remember a couple years ago we brought in Greg Monroe? No, that's not going to be a thing either. I don't know, this Reggie Jackson trade. Oh, this Stanley Johnson guy. Oh, I don't know. We could do this all day, right? Like, we've checked in on this and we've wondered, like, when is it time? When is it going to be time to be like, this is the team that we have been waiting for? Folks, I think this Pistons team is for real. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship this season, but I'm saying foundationally what they have, we've done it, okay? We have achieved it. The first phase of the rebuild, like whatever you want to call this, these are the guys. These are 100% the guys. And now we are watching in real time the Pistons play a team who is at the cream of the crop. They are championship contenders this season. A team, by the way, who plays just as physically as Detroit does, but they are respected more. They have more respect because they've just been better the last few years. And they got really, really good, really, really fast. Like, if you look at the Oklahoma City's win improvements over the last, 5 years, they've straight up jumped, 50 wins. Like, it's crazy how good they got. They've just drafted super well, and we don't need to talk about, Sam Presti's, treasure trove and shit of draft picks, but, they've earned respect. So Detroit playing as physically as they do, I don't know. I guess we're not there yet. So I am proposing, just start fighting, motherfuckers. It has to be time. Isaiah Stewart, maybe I've missed something. I haven't been able to, the last month, I have not been able to watch as many games live as I had in the previous parts of the season. When was the last time that Isaiah Stewart got a technical? Besides that, didn't he just get one? I'm already getting frazzled here. But I'm talking was it the Pacers? I think it was the last Pacers game that we played in maybe January in Indiana. It was the fourth matchup of the season. Didn't Stu get 2 techs in 4 total minutes? He got his first technical 12 seconds into the game because he just wouldn't stop talking. And I don't even remember what the second one was, but within straight up 5 minutes of him playing 2 technicals, you're out of the game. I'm talking that Isaiah Stewart, or just straight up flagrant 2. He needs to start. He's got to fight somebody. All right, we got to get there. We got to make sure that people know that, I don't know, we did it. And you know what? A couple of days ago when we were doing a little short segment about man, Shaq's been kind of having a bad week because he was just saying a bunch of stuff that was riling people up. But one of the things that we covered was when he called the Pistons boring. And I was like, I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't have been as mad about that as I was, because the 2004 team, look, I don't know what people were saying about them at the time, but I don't know, you look back at them and it's not exactly the flashiest team in the world. Now, I do think, like I said in the previous segment, that I'm referencing here, I think some of the stuff I said was true, that they're not boring because if you talk about some of the best transition teams in the NBA right now, that's the Pistons. They're up there. I think Oklahoma City's also up there. You talk about dunks and alley-oops. And the other reason I cite those specifically is because it's I don't know, what do people love about the NBA? Teams that go really fast and pull off really cool plays. I'm not saying the Pistons are necessarily a highlight factory, because outside of Cade to Jalen Duren lobs specifically, if you take that out of the equation, yeah, they're not a highlight factory. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't know, they push the pace, they play super fast, and they win a good amount of games. I don't know. It's because which is true? I don't want to say which is true and then say what I'm about to say and make it sound like it's a definitive point. So let me think about this one out loud. But I'm okay, so you love the 7 seconds or less Suns. Why? Because they were fast. That was it. They were fast and they were flashy and they were efficient. Well, in the fast break specifically. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's what the Pistons are. And so when we talk about if this team is going to actually be good, and I believe in my heart that they are, we have to figure out what they're going to be called. And I don't know if it's, you can't do Bad Boys 2.0. You cannot do some shit like that. But I seriously think that it needs to be on some we will fight you and we will kill you and we will dox you and we will fucking murder you type shit. For real. Because I think that every single player on this team is a killer. I really do. When these games really start to count, they have made me believers. And you come into this season as Pistons fans the same way that you had for the last, what do you want to say, We'll use 2020, Troy Weaver's first year, as like when this rebuild really started to feel real, right? Because at that point, Stefanski had relinquished control of the team. His thumb was off of the scale to a degree. Andre Drummond had been traded months earlier to Cleveland, so that was really the signal that they were going to buy into this rebuild. So I think that the 2020, the core four draft, as it originally was referred to as, with Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and Saban Lee, I think is really the building block of this whole thing. Isaiah Stewart, the last man standing from the core four, right? So you've gone into every single season for the last 5 years being like, I don't know. Like, this is the most optimistic I've felt throughout this period, but I don't know yet. That's how every season has begun. This one was like, if it doesn't happen now, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say, like, when is it supposed to happen? Like, we were going to give up after the season. I don't believe that's true. They've certainly outkicked their coverage. I would say confidently that the Pistons right now are better than anybody would have expected that they were going to be 6 months ago, which maybe, as I'm saying that out loud, I don't think that's a hot take. I think most people would probably agree with that, right? But this team is just so different for reasons that we've highlighted in this episode and in previous ones, probably an equal amount of times. I'm really believing in who they are and what their identity has become. And I think for some reason, I don't know how to describe it, the Oklahoma City game and all of the shenanigans, the histrionics that came with it, my spin zone here, I guess, is that I actually feel better about the team as a whole. Because I'm like, I don't know. They want to fight for themselves. Like, they're fighting for their own, like, pride out there. And then also they have a coach who is doing the same thing for his own players. And that's just, to bring it all back to the beginning, just something that, man, how long have we been waiting for that as Pistons fans? A guy who will fight for his players. The way that JB Bickerstaff does, and also, like, have the players respond to it. It really does feel like a unit, like almost like a family unit, the Detroit Pistons this season. No matter how it ends up going the rest of the way, I believe I already said this, as of this taping, they are 2 games out of the 4 seed right now. They're going to get in, right? Like, they are going to make the playoffs. I would be surprised, honestly, at this point, if they fell into the play-in. I would be surprised. I think they will, no matter how it goes, they may stay as the 6th seed, but I think that right now is their floor. Imagine that. What? You talk about expectations? Dude, the season started and you poll Pistons fans, I swear at least 75% of them would have been like, playing, and you did a good job. I'm sitting here, it's March. We're in the middle of March. And I'm like, if they fell to the play-in, I would be surprised. I believe in them. Isn't it this Wednesday? I'd have to check the schedule. It may take me too long to pull it up. So this is just off of memory. Wednesday, I believe they're playing Miami. That game got flexed into the ESPN window. What? Huh? It's like one nationally televised game. It's like one. It's just one. We've had like a couple maybe NBA TV games this year. I think we had an ESPN 1 or 2. But like, this doesn't happen. We don't see the Pistons played on national broadcasts that aren't NBA TV. That does not fucking count. Who cares about that, right? Whoa. It's the middle of March. The Pistons getting flexed into a nationally televised slot. If that in and of itself isn't like as I don't know. The Pistons right now have a coach who will finish, I think, number 2 at Coach of the Year. He has to be number 2, Coach of the Year, JB Bickerstaff. We haven't really talked about this on the show. Trajan Langdon, Executive of the Year. I don't know that he'll win, but I think he should be in the conversation. The truth is, I said that out loud, and I immediately realized it has to be Rob Pelinka, right? I don't care who, but it has to be, right? Back to my rhythm and flow that I was in right there. You have a Coach of the Year runner-up, a guy in the conversation for Executive of the Year. You have an all-star and a probably second-team All-NBA, Cade Cunningham, potentially most improved player, Cade Cunningham. You have how many all-rookie guys, past or present, on your team right now? Are we talking about Isaiah Stewart as an all-defensive guy in the NBA? Malik Beasley going to finish the season somewhere in the top 5, potentially top 3? I don't know, maybe top 1? He's kind of been flirting. He's been up there with Anthony Edwards in terms of total three-pointers made in a single season. What is happening? I'm rubbing my eyes like a goddamn Looney Tunes character. What is happening? The Detroit Pistons are amazing. Hold on. No home cooking shit. They're not amazing. But they're the best that they've been in 10 years. And that's being generous. That's giving a lot of credit to the team that got swept by the Cavaliers. The last time that we felt like the Pistons could win a playoff series was like 16 years ago. So if you want to say that's how long it's been, and guess what? That was some variant of the going to work team. Was it 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals? I'll never get that number right. I will never get that number right. So if the last time that we were this good was when we were named, when we had a name, an identity, like what's the word? I was going to say like a phonics identity. That phrase makes no goddamn sense, a phonics identity. I have no idea what that means. But if there is like an actual name that we call this thing, we have to figure it out soon, okay? Let's put a pin in it and let's figure it out soon. What else do we have going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen, in the basketball world specifically? Selection Sunday. Yeah, Selection Sunday just happened. Woo! Rest in peace, Greg Gumbel. Moment of silence for Greg Gumbel. For real. Huge bummer. So sad when he passed away. You knew that March would never be the same, and you knew that the worst one would be the first without him. And that little tribute they did at the beginning of the show for him, I thought it was so good. And he had a line in the little monologue they showed of him where he was like, sometimes the unexpected happens and like it's really hard, or like something to that effect. And I was like, damn, wow, that's so powerful. So rest in peace, Greg Gumbel. Sucked to not hear his voice on Selection Sunday. But you talk about just a tradition. I'm talking like an American tradition. Something that I was thinking about this while I was watching. I was like, it's crazy that if you live in like Australia, you live in South America, you live in, I don't know, you live in Europe somewhere. Like Selection Sunday just happens and you have no idea that it happens. Some people out there are hearing, what the fuck is Selection Sunday? I've never heard this term before. Some people, as you're listening to this, are learning and hearing the words Selection Sunday for the first time in my life. But this is such like a crucial pillar of American culture. March Madness in college basketball here in America. Because, like, I mean this, like, real shit, I think it's bigger than the Super Bowl. Culturally, I think March Madness is bigger than the Super Bowl. Because people who don't watch college basketball will fill out brackets. And, like, want to. Like, they'll be excited to. Or you just, like, make them do it because you need extra people in your group. Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, something like that. But, like, people just make brackets just because it's fun. Like, this is just tradition. Like, this is just what you do. In the middle of March, you do your bracket, and then everybody ends up being wrong. And then there's one fucking guy who every year into the Elite Eight has a perfect bracket. Or, like, most years probably, you're not even at the Sweet 16, and they're like, there's like nobody's got it. Like, it's already over. It's literally already over. It's just fun. The pursuit of the bracket is just so much fun. And so I'm watching Selection Sunday, Michigan State 2 seed. I thought the nightmare scenario, this is what I was terrified of as a Michigan State fan. I was scared that Missouri was going to get a 7 seed, and then they were going to be, right above Michigan State in the bracket. So where if Michigan State beats whoever they're playing, they would probably end up playing Missouri. That was round of 32, Michigan State, Missouri. That was my holy shit, this literally cannot happen. No, Missouri also ended up getting a 6 seed. They weren't even a 7. Michigan State's bracket also wanted Gonzaga. Didn't get Gonzaga, those little fucking loser pieces of shit. We got Auburn. Michigan State got Auburn. Oh, man. Funniest matchup? I'm not going to do like a whole bracket here for March Madness, but just like a quick one off the dome. Oh, Michigan's in trouble. They won the Big Ten tournament. Good for them. Cool. That's cool. and their reward was playing. I called Michigan State the hottest team in basketball. I was wrong. It's UC San Diego. They've won 15 in a row. They've only been in, what is it? They've only been in Division I for 2 years, and they're already in the tournament, and they're like the best team in the tournament. And Michigan has to play them. I'm taking that. I'm going to wait to see. I'm sure the line has already opened on it. I don't gamble anymore. I'm just curious to see if I put $20 on that game. Does that give me like $75 if I picked UC San Diego? Because I think I might do that. I believe in my heart that this is going to happen. Because this is just what you have to do, right? When you talk about filling your bracket out, you get to a point where you learn, like, I just have to pick weird shit. That's the only way I'm going to get this right. I think the stars are kind of aligning. I think the UC San Diego over Michigan upset is something to put a pin in. Who else is in this bracket? North Carolina being a play-in team, like a first four in team, is fucking insane. Can you imagine 10 years ago hearing that? Weren't they recently in the the NIT in like within the last like 5 years? North Carolina? That sounds like it may have happened. Crazy to see that. They also shouldn't even be in. Indiana, maybe. Boise State, maybe. Something like that. Not North Carolina. They're bad this year. Who else do we have in here? I'm just trying to think of any upsets that I wanted to quickly call out. Yeah, Missouri was playing Drake. Missouri got in as a 6. I think I already said that. Drake won 30 games this year? They played the winner of, these just aren't. Oh, yeah, St. John's. I was looking at this region for a reason. I couldn't remember why I was looking at it. Yeah, St. John's. Dude, they were talking to Rick Pitino right before the actual broadcast started. And Maddie, my girlfriend had no idea who Rick Pitino was. Fellas, I had the opportunity to explain who Rick Pitino is. Like, I had to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know when your significant other asks you something and you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I get to just, like, riff about this thing? Like, yes. I just get to, like, info dump about this thing. I love this thing. Absolutely. Dog, for me, that's like Rick Pitino. Like, she was like, Rick Pitino? What is that, Joe Paterno's brother? I was like, shut up. Do you not know who Rick Pitino is? I was like, yes, you do. You're lying. She's like, I don't fucking know. And I was like, oh my God. I crack my knuckles. Rick Pitino, I take him to strip clubs and casinos? I go, he's like the horniest guy in the world. I was like, he got busted. What, you know what's crazy about Rick Pitino? I mean this too. I'm being so for real. I feel, dude, this is coming to me in real time. I feel like I'm seeing things so clearly right now because of this take I'm about to deliver. When you think of Louisville, you don't think of, you do think of them being cool because of, like, Lamar Jackson. No. Rick Pitino made Louisville cool. He 100% did. For people my age, that was, like, our first conception of Louisville as a school, was, like, Rick Pitino. And you think Peyton Siva, Luke Hancock, Kevin Ware, R.I.P. You think about those guys, Rick Pitino. And then he beats Michigan, by the way, in the national championship because Trey Burke clearly, they call the foul and it just was not a foul. Trey Burke had block all fucking ball, all ball. Or was it maybe they called it a goaltend, I think. It was something like that. But Trey Burke, it was just like the greatest block we've ever seen in our fucking lives. And they didn't allow it. Louisville ends up winning that also because Luke Hancock is just amazing. Wins the national championship, ends up getting vacated years later, because Rick Pitino was again caught. They were just like, the NCAA was like, you're too horny. What you're doing, recruiting these kids using like sex buses is too horny. You've crossed the line, Rick Pitino. This is fucked up. And so they vacated a bunch of wins, including the national championship. Michigan fans still to this day will be like, oh, yeah, and so technically we win that. You don't. Shut up. Football school. You guys can be a football school or a basketball school. You cannot be both. Apparently neither can Michigan State, though, because right now they are Michigan State very much a basketball school, not so much a football school. But anyways, I just totally ruined my train of thought. Was I talking about? Was I talking about Michigan? Let me just get back to the thing. Let me get back to the bracket. I think The Natty's probably going to end up being Duke and Florida. We did receive word Cooper Flagg, A-okay. He's all right. We'll be playing in the tournament. Duke and Florida, been pretty hot this year. Florida, I mean. Another one I was keeping an eye on. Oregon and Liberty. I don't know. Keep an eye on that. They said something on the broadcast that I just banked it. Banked and stored. That Liberty's defense only allows 63 points per game. I was like, whoa, not a numbers guy. But that's something. Also, Oregon's offense is like kind of like, bleh. Oregon basketball has never really clicked with me. Do they still do this? I don't even know if they still do this. Remember when Oregon's basketball court was like, they had the trees, like the pine trees on the court? It was hideous. It's horrible. There's nothing that pisses me off more than a basketball court that is not a basketball court. And I mean any of them. Like, I can't stand Brooklyn Nets, like, gray courts. Doesn't Dallas have one? Somebody else has one. I cannot stand colored courts. I give very genuine exception to the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, as it is now referred to, sponsored by Emiratis. Sorry, I'll get it fucking right. Because that is, like, I don't know. I still think it looks hideous, but, like, I accept it. If you're not Boise State, like, this is not football. You cannot just have a gray court. That's fucked up. That's wrong. I can't stand it. There's nothing worse for me, my viewing experience, that hardwood has to just be like a normal color. I hate like parquet, like checkered shit too. Like even that bothers me. The Grizzlies, it's not so much like this anymore, but like the Mike Conley years, like the real Mike Conley years, FedEx Forum, the hardwood was too bright. It was way too bright, and it bothered me. I didn't want to watch. Moda Center in Portland, it was also very bright, but it was like the perfect, I still in my heart believe to this day, Moda Center. I've never been. I will probably never be there in my life because there's no fucking reason I ever will go there. I think Moda Center is the best arena visually that we have in basketball, and the hardwood and the lighting that they have in Moda Center is the biggest reason why, right? I'd love to go there and be like, wow, the concourse, like actually not that great. I'm sure the concourse there probably isn't very good. Weirdest concourse in basketball. Staples Center is weird. Sorry, Crypto.com Arena, as it is now referred to, is its preferred nomenclature, Crypto.com Arena. Concourse is weird. It's very segregated though, like by class. Like it's very, very weird. Pfizer Forum's concourse is weird because it's a lot like Chutes and Ladders. It's just very vertical. There's not too much horizontal space. It's very narrow and it's very vertical. A lot of escalators, and you'd think it would just be like, you know, like main, like floor level and like different like medium level and like second level, like most places. Maybe it is the layout, but it just feels like way more vertical than that. I don't know. What else? Little Caesars Arena, very straightforward concourse. Nothing to, it's like the most have you been to a major sports arena before? Great. Then that's Little Caesars Arena. It's very pretty. It's very nice, but it's literally just a concourse. Dodger Stadium, you don't give them too much shit for their concourse. Just the age of the stadium, I think, there's a history to it, right? So you're not like in there being like, I'm actually not that impressed. No, it's, you know what I mean? Like it's sort of part of the charm and the experience of Dodger Stadium. It's the same thing with Wrigley Field, by the way. As somebody who has attended one game there, but I also worked there during games. So I've been to Wrigley Field 100,000 times, right? I have a good personal history with Wrigley Field. I think it's the same way. What other stadiums? How long have I been spending this a couple minutes here on concourse? The best one I've ever been to? Oh, United Center is horrible, by the way. It's like you talk about, it's crazy the contrast in, you talk about the culture and the history of the building very much being part of the experience. You get none of that when you go to United. If you go to where, for those of you who aren't familiar, that's where the Chicago Bulls play. It is where they have played for a very long time now. It's where Michael Jordan was doing all of his Michael Jordan shit, right? You go there now and you're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, the banners are there. They got statues, like, I guess. I don't know. it just feels old, and it does not feel charming to me at all. Been there a handful of times. It has never done it for me. So that's why I said, like, the contrast to a Wrigley Field where, I mean, we don't gotta lie, in the last 120 years, like, one really, really cool thing happened there. And it wasn't even there when it happened. It was in Cleveland. You know what I mean? But, like, for all intents and purposes, like, there hasn't been that much, like, it's just how old the actual venue is. Where, like, United Center, in terms of major sports arenas, I guess technically is on the older side of things now, but has also seen, like, I don't know, the most dominant run that we've seen, if not just in North America, then in the entire world in sports. And it really lacks that punch. I don't feel magic when I'm in the walls of the United Center. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically, email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. So we got an email from Cooper. Cooper, welcome back to the show. Cooper is slowly, at least in my head canon as the host here, becoming a very frequent regular here at the show. Always delivers a nice take. Always very nuanced and thorough takes. I don't, off the top of my head, some other ones he's had some good takes, I think, about Russell Westbrook. I think there was, we went on, when we were doing like a Philly sports thing, I believe Cooper chimed in and had some stuff about that. So I always like to prioritize his emails, and wouldn't you know, and that's just, and I felt that way before he sent this in, right? But Cooper sends in this email, subject line, my personal 2025 bingo card. And I'll start reading the email for a second. Hey, Nick, playing the long game here. Got bored and made my own 2025 bingo card. Yeah, it's March, but honestly, that only makes it more impressive if I get something right. I've taken it upon myself to make this a competition, and I'm really only sending this to you so that when I email again in December, and then in parentheses, or January 2026, there is proof that I had these ideas. So Cooper did exactly what he said that he was going to do. And I was going to spend the last 20 minutes of the show telling him why I think his list sucks. I just have beef with it. And I also think, Cooper, some of them that you put in here are actually very fucking good. And I think that it'll be fun to, like, I just want to see where the email goes. I think what you sent in is like a fun way to end the show. So for those of you, I maybe should have said this. We do our own bingo sheet here at the Coping Hour. We throw up like 24 things on a bingo sheet that we think are going to happen in 2025 across pop culture and politics and sports and everything, right? If you want to go back, there's I'm not going to put it on the screen, but there's an episode title. It's like everything that's going to happen in 2025. That's the bingo sheet episode if you want to go listen to that. But sorry, without further ado, Cooper's 2025 bingo sheet. Here's the list. Chappell Roan is the quote-unquote it girl of pop music in summer 2025. Parenthetically, 2025 equivalent of Brat Summer kind of thing. Yeah, record scratch freeze frame. You're probably wondering how Cooper got here. I don't think this counts. Off the bat, I don't think this counts. Because if you're like, oh, Chappell Roan is going to have a moment, like she's going to be the it girl 25, like she just was. I understand conflating Brat Summer with like holding the pop girly belt. I understand how you got from A to B on that one. I don't think that's what happened though. 2024 was the summer of pop girlies. That's what it was. It wasn't just Charlie XCX. She was just the one who sort of attached herself to like the Brat Summer thing. Like that just kind of worked out in her favor. But it was also like Chappell Roan. Like, dude, her Lollapalooza set last year was like probably the biggest crowd that I don't know numbers wise, but at least, I don't know, it looked like the biggest crowd that we've seen at a live music gathering since like fucking COVID. Like, dude, and that happened in like a span of 4 months, by the way, because 4 months before Lollapalooza, Chappell Roan was playing rooms of like 2,500 people. And then suddenly I don't know if she was headlining. I don't know where she was. She couldn't have been because there was still light outside. But whatever the case was, like everybody at Lolla stopped what they were doing to go see Chappell Roan. And she also like kept having moments outside of her own like musical culture, because she just like wouldn't log off. Like she just kept responding to people, and Chappell Roan was very much like having a moment last year. And so that's why it wasn't just Charlie XCX or Chappell Roan. Like it was Sabrina Carpenter. Like Sabrina was huge last year. She like exits the Eras tour, and then like, so it was like exit Sabrina Carpenter. Now she explodes. She has an album coming out. She drops, singles like Please, Please, Please. And she's just going to the moon, right? She exits the Eras tour as Taylor is still doing that, both internationally and domestically. The final leg of the Eras tour from Taylor Swift, another a member of the Pop Girlies, by the way, having a moment last year. Eras tour, highest grossing tour, fucking literally ever. Enter Gracie Abrams as an opening act for Taylor Swift. Gracie Abrams also having a moment at the tail end of last year. I feel like I've been rambling a little bit too much on this, so I feel like there's maybe a few women that I forgot to mention. I really, in my heart, believe that like that was just what last year was about, is it was about all of them. So for Chappell Roan to be like an it girl again without an album, like she just had a new single come out, which is like cool. I don't know. Usually that means that something's going to be on the way eventually at some point. Is she going to have a new project out by Lollapalooza, which starts on July 31st? Chappell Roan, if she has like it would just be hard to like go up from that for what was it, 365 days ago? Not even. Like a year ago right now, did you know who Chappell Roan was? A lot of you out there did not know who Chappell Roan was. This is when she was playing like not the biggest rooms in the world. It just kind of happened. Like Good Luck Babe exploded, dude. It just went nuclear. So I just don't know how you'll define that, I guess is what I'm getting at here. Up next, Game 7 of Cavs versus Thunder Finals breaks records, largely quiets NBA rating concerns. That's a fun one. That's it. See, now I think you're on the board. I think that is you are calling such a specific shot. This is like indisputable. You got it in plenty of time. Like, I don't know, there could still be you don't want this to happen, but there could still be a major injury between those two teams. Like, I don't know, you got it in plenty of time. This is a good specific shot, and I like it. Up next, Shohei Ohtani has a very unimpressive season as a pitcher. I'll give you credit for that one, because I think that is just one of, like, if I wrote that down, I would have just been like, we'll know it when we see it. You know what I mean? And we'll judge the discourse in. So I guess what I would ask you here is, like, how long do you wait to fill that one in, right? Like, I think you'll really know by, like, August 1st, I think, is when you'll really know that, like, okay, I think this is just going poorly. Maybe I'm being a little bit generous there. But okay, Shohei Ohtani has a very unimpressive season as a pitcher. Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. And then it's like, if you want to maybe add a layer to that, though, right? I don't want to write the card for you, but I think the Major League Baseball season hasn't started yet, so I think you can still get this one in if you want to amend it quickly. Is this the year that we say Shohei needs to pick? This is the year that Shohei needs to say, I'm either a pitcher or I'm the best hitter that has literally ever fucking played the game of baseball ever. Like, which one do you want it to be? Because, like, the truth is, if we have that conversation now with the Dodgers, dog, their rotation's fine. They don't need him to be in there. Oh, fuck, they'll just have 4 aces. They won't have 5. They'll just have 4. Shit, okay, I guess we'll have to bring somebody else in. We'll just trade for fucking Jack Flaherty again. We'll just do that again. We'll just get him again at the deadline, and then Shohei, you can just hit. So if that's what you want to add to it, this is the year that Shohei Ohtani is forced to decide. I think that could be a fun one. Next one, Kim Jong-un-esque, holy shit, is he actually going to die? Moment for Donald Trump. You're not the first person that, dude, I had a buddy text me about this the other day. And he was like, what are the odds that Trump makes it to the end of his presidency? I thought he was assuming that somebody was going to try to, and I was like, that's not going to, I was like, it could happen. I was like, but he's not going to get killed. There's no way. And he was like, that's not what I mean. He was like, I mean on some like Joe Biden, I can't get up the stairs, I'm old as fuck way. And I was like, oh, you just mean on some for the love of the game shit, or rather for lack thereof, for like being alive, Donald Trump just straight up dies. He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that. So it's funny that you said this, because this has kind of been on my mind lately. I don't think so. Unless he like had like major heart attack, and he like if Donald Trump dies in the next few years of like quote unquote natural causes, like he just dies because he's old as fuck, it'll be because he had a heart attack. Cardiac arrest, like amphetamines are just, they finally did the job. After 60 years, Donald Trump finally succumbs to the amphetamines that he has been eating for the last 60 fucking years with his Big Mac. I like that one. Up next, active NBA player implicated in the Diddy case. I don't want to name any names. That's a fun one, though. Up next, Aaron Paul has a moment. Fuck off. You know what you did there. Now, I can't be mad because, for those of you who don't know, from last year on the bingo sheet, I had Bryan Cranston has a moment. And then he had several, actually. He had several moments. The one that we officially gave it to him for was when he did an anti-littering campaign in New Mexico with Aaron Paul, actually, reprising their characters from Breaking Bad. If that didn't count as a moment, then you know what I mean? Like, what does? So you just went with the opposite. Fuck off. I should have done it. Hey, I didn't do it, and I should have. That was smart of you, capitalizing. All right, fine. But it can't be, we just have to agree on this. Because this was my barometer with the Bryan Cranston moment detector. Like, it cannot be about Dos Hombres. It cannot be about their fucking mezcal. That does not count. Because then it's just like you're just doing an ad. That's literally it. You're just doing an ad for your own shit. That doesn't count. It has to be something that he's not. You know what I mean? You get where I'm going with this? Okay, fine. We'll allow it. What the fuck? Playboi Carti announces another album. Parenthetically, it does not release this year. This is an important distinction. I'm assuming you're saying this because he just released the one, and so you're like, he announces that another one is going to come, and it doesn't release this year. Yeah, maybe. One of you guys emailed me, and you were like, hey, I emailed you one time about Playboi Carti, and you said that it's for kids or something, and I just want to say to that guy, like, so I guess a couple of months ago, I said something about, like, if you listen to Playboi Carti, I guess you're a child. I guess I said something like that, right? And this guy, he's very nice. He's emailed before, but he's emailed me, like, at least 3 times or commented something of the like, at least 3 times about this, being like, oh, I don't think it's for babies. The average age of the people on this most recent Playboi Carti album is, like, 41 and 37. So, like, clearly it's not. That's fine, brother. Listen to the music that you want to listen to. Maybe something that I would have said about Playboi Carti is like, yes, it seems like on average, on aggregate, people online who are like, I love Playboi Carti are like 13-year-old kids. It just so happens that that's the case. I don't care though, because like I'm the same guy who likes Jaden Smith. And guess what? It's probably the same thing with Jaden Smith. No, that's not true. I think it's like really, I don't want to name the archetype of guy that I think it is, but it's like, dude, listen to what you want to listen to. I don't care. I just don't really care about Playboi Carti that much. So, the new album. Oh, Kendrick was on it. Oh, my God. Wow. Cool. I listened to the one where he was like, I'm fat as fuck. I'm Luka Doncic. Whatever the bar was. Up next. Duke fans have weird and aggressive and entitled reaction to Cooper Flagg choosing to commit to the NBA draft. This is a dangerous shot because of how wrong I think you're about to be about this in like a month. It's kind of like when I put on mine, like the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl. When I put that on there at the beginning of January, and at worst, it lasts like a month. Well, I guess at worst, a week later, the Lions got fucking bounced from the playoffs. So that was really the worst case scenario. But you know what I mean? Like, as soon as it's over, you got to look at that space all year. It's like, there's no way that this is going to hit. You know what I mean? So that's tough, especially when I think you're just going to be wrong. There's no way. He's going to be the number 1 pick. I know he's like softly flirted with this in recent months or weeks or however you want to define it. Like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to Duke. I just don't think he will. And I think Duke fans like know what it is. Like the same way like a Kentucky fan wouldn't do that to their players because like they know what it is. You know what I mean? But it's a bold shot. So I'll give you that. Up next, one of the Kelce brothers releases a meme coin. There it is. That's the winner. I'm tempted to put I'm serious right now. I'm tempted to put a gold star on that one and be like, if this happens, he wins the bingo sheet. If this happens, the Kelce brothers pump a shit coin, then he wins the whole thing. It doesn't matter what else happens or if he gets any, it doesn't matter. He wins. Because I truly believe that this is the smartest thing that anybody has ever emailed into the show. Because is there any other way that this, like, and I don't want to say oversaturation, because even if that is technically what it is, like, I like both of them. Honestly, I like both of them, and I'm fine with hearing from both of them. I think they're both funny, but I get where everybody's coming from. Like, we do see and hear from both of them a lot. Is the funniest and most dramatic way that this whole thing ends with them. It's been like 3 years of nonstop Kelce Brothers shit, right? The way that it ends is them pumping a shit coin. And then 2 days after it, pulling the rug, dumping it, they make tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And then people are like, what the fuck? What happened? And that's how we stop hearing from the Kelces. That would be hilarious. Up next. Things unravel for Kanye West worse than previously thought possible. I mean, look, we all get some easy ones on here. That's fine. That's cool. I don't know. You'll really have to know what that means, because it has to be layers deeper than like him just being like, haha, Nazis and like, haha, Hitler. You know what I mean? Because like, all right, well, we've not only have done that, but we also just did that again. So what that really means for him, now I'm annoyed because now I don't want emails about Kanye. So don't tell me how this one ages. Once I catch wind of it, that means it'll have been in the news for like a week, because I really just keep him out of. I don't fucking care. I don't care what he's doing, and I don't care what he says, because I just don't think he matters anymore. Well, I don't want to say I don't think he matters anymore, but like, I don't care. I don't want to know it, because it doesn't matter. Up next, Drake makes a really, really sad attempt to get a last word in on the Kendrick beef on a song. Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be that. And then I don't, can I tell you something else? Talk about Kanye. I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't care. I can't believe Kendrick did it. He did it. You want to know how I know Kendrick won? Because I don't care. Drake came out with this album with Party. Now, it is also because I'm here for raps, brother. Like raps. Like real Drake raps. Not for whatever that record was. And I also don't really care about Party that much. It's just like he and Party had the song Come and See years ago. I like that song, right? So I didn't even finish that. I just don't care about it. And I think part of it is that that I didn't force myself to, because at least like honestly, never mind. Even though I knew I was going to hate it, I listened to every single song because I was like, it's Drake. I have to give him his streams. He needs them. Kendrick did it. I don't care. So until Drake is like, I'm doing a collab album with like Jay-Z, like we're just doing club record. No like dumb, like slow shit. Like no like R&B featuring Jay-Z. Like the fuck. Like where's Pound Cake? I need Pound Cake again. Let's do that again. Just do that again. I'm not asking for that much, right? Until that happens or something that adjacent, I don't care. I'm going to skip ahead here. You put in Devin Booker becomes a Piston. Nice. You say the NCAA botches an attempt at regulating NIL. I think, to be fair, I don't think they can even do that at this point. I think whatever news comes out, I think would have to go into effect next year. I think it's something about the calendar year. I might be completely fucking wrong. And in 2 months, the NCAA might be like, hey, this thing about the NIL, and it goes into effect tomorrow. That might be the case. There's been conversation about something like this before. But I'm also just wondering is the thing that happens here, the NCAA botches an attempt at regulating NIL. I wonder if it's like actually somewhat the opposite, where is this the year that the players like really unionize? I'm pretty sure they already have a union. No, they do. How does that work? But like really unionize, and that's kind of how we start to talk about regulation. I just wonder if maybe that's going to be what it is. Decent shot though. Up next, Draymond Green tries really hard to make his own retirement tour a thing. I don't think he'll have to try that hard. It would be really funny if he goes out the same way that he prophesized. Well, it would be like what he said to Paul Pierce was actually he was just prophesizing himself. Wait, what did he say? Yeah, that was Paul Pierce. But who did he say he's not? He was like, they don't love you. You say you're not. Oh, you're not Kobe. That's. I was thinking he said KG. You're not KG. I was like, that doesn't sound right. You're not Kobe. That's so goddamn funny. But how much funnier would it be if that was just a layer to the real take, that was just Draymond Green all along. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't think that's going to be true. But I did say, you brought up Draymond Green. This has nothing to do with what you brought up. I wonder, Izzo decides within the next couple of years, all right, dude, I just have to stop. Whenever it is. I don't know, maybe they make a deep run this year and he's like, dust to sands. He's like, that's the best team I'll ever fucking have ever again. So we're done. I wonder if Draymond is like, I'll take that job. I don't know. Do you think he wants to do TV like too much? Do you think that's just really where his heart is right now and that's really what he wants to do? I wouldn't think you're wrong if that's what he said. I think he just wants to do TV right now. Yeah, you might be right. But Draymond Green, Michigan State basketball head coach, that seems like something that would mean a lot to him. I don't know. I'd be curious if I had Draymond Green. I'd ask him that. What's your interest? You ever want to coach? I think he's wanted to coach. I think he said that before. Would you coach Michigan State? What else is there? Nick, a.k.a. me, declares something as the biggest piece of monoculture since Succession in any Coping Hour episode between now and 12/31/25. That's a good one. Keep an eye on The Rehearsal Season 2. I believe, in my heart, Nathan Fielder is a television revolutionary. I believe that. And I think that everything that he does, even Nathan For You, even the shit that was supposed to be funny, by the way, which it was very funny, but there's a reason that it was funny. Because there's a rawness and there's an authenticity to it that does not exist on network television, on streaming service. It does not exist. So whether it was Nathan For You or whether it was The Rehearsal or whether it was The Curse, which, by the way, I think I said that The Curse to me was monoculture that nobody was watching. Nathan Fielder, Benny Safdie, and Emma Stone. I believe that it is the best television series. It's not a series. It's one season that has ever been. It's the best single season of television that has ever been produced ever, period. And nobody saw it. Nobody watched it. And the people who started to watch it stopped watching it because it's like, it is so hard to watch. It's like, it's visceral in its uncomfortableness at times, but it's only a reflection of real people and real conversation and real awkwardness, right? And so it's birthed from real shit. I think it's the best thing that nobody watched. I think The Rehearsal sort of being a blend of scripted and also, no, this is just happening. It's almost like reality TV. There's just a rawness to it. And season 2 comes out in April, so keep your eyes peeled for that. White Lotus has been amazing. I think White Lotus has been great. There's a chance, by the way, once I start watching Severance, I will say that it is Severance. As a little take here, a couple hours ago, Maddie said to me, my girlfriend, she's like, shouldn't we just start watching that? She brought it up out of nowhere. She goes, shouldn't we just start watching Severance at some point? And I was like, yes, sweetheart, you're right. I was like, it's just on Apple TV and we don't want to pay the $10 a month. Yes, we can pirate it, but it's a whole thing, blah, 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 blah. I think, though, the take here is once we do start watching it, I'm not going to say it on the show until I'm actually done watching it because I'm so scared of spoilers. And truthfully, honest to God, we have not started it yet. But I still can't get out of my head the guy who 2 days after Dune Part 2 came out, emailed the show and was emailing about some mundane fucking thing. And then in the middle of his email just dropped Dune Part 2 spoilers. I was like, what the fuck is your problem? What is your problem? And the truth is, I'm not mad at this guy at all, but I do think about him at least once a week. That was crazy. You're spoiling Dune Part 2 for me. Even if it's 2 days after it came out. It was 2 days after it came out. Was there anything else in here that I wanted to read before we got out of here? The Hawk Tuah girl tries to rebrand as something other than Hawk Tuah girl. This isn't my point. I listened to one of my favorite comedians give this point the other day. I just want to reiterate that point from Nick Mullen. He said, I don't think you could be called the Hawk Tuah girl if we don't know that, though. We don't know that, though. And I think it's crazy that you can get away with that. And I'm not saying that she has to, like, go out and make the account on the website that we're all thinking about. I'm not saying she has to do that and show us. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, if I was a guy on the internet, and the reason that I gained notoriety and I gained fame and I was able to pump a shit coin to a bunch of people and then fall off the face of the earth, is the only reason that all of that stuff was allowed to happen was because I said that I was the world's best backflipper, and then I never did a backflip. You never actually saw me do it. And then honestly, outside of that one conversation, you never really heard me talk about backflipping ever. It was just kind of something that I said offhand, and then it exploded in popularity, and I never actually had to do the thing that I said that I was really fucking good at. I just think that's kind of weird. And so I do think that it would be wise to rebrand to something else. Maybe like her name, or like, have you guys seen like the ironic culture of people who listen to her show? Which I guess it almost sounds like is it an oxymoron? Is that what it is? Because like ironic nature, or the ironic culture of people who listen to the show. It's like, yeah, there's no way you would be listening to what does this woman have to say? Why are you listening to her fucking podcast? It's like dudes who do podcasts about her podcast. That's funny. That's funny. That doesn't even seem like, usually you see something like that. It's like, oh, you just are like kind of weird about women and you're making a podcast to make fun of her. It's like, no, but this is different because it's like, what the fuck is this anyways? And then she was the one who, I don't know. I think as I'm saying all of this out loud, I'm realizing I know a little bit more about this woman than I would have liked to have let on. What else did you have here in your bingo sheep? The AI bubble bursts. We're going to be here for 30 more minutes if I do that one. Deion Sanders has some sort of dramatic outburst towards the team Shedeur plays for midseason. Good, easy shot. Who do you think that's going to be? The Browns? I don't know. I read mock drafts like twice a day. I still have no idea where anybody is going. There is a moment where people genuinely believe Frank Ocean is about to release an album. That's a good one. It's been a long time since that happened. How many, I remember between Channel Orange. How many L's are in that? Chanel Orange. But I think you say Channel Orange. I don't Channel Orange. Maybe if I just keep saying it, it'll make it seem more like it's real. I remember the time between that and Blonde. It was constantly. You couldn't go a month without new Frank is dropping. And then it never fucking happened. I remember Blonde coming out, that being like a moment. Like, dude, Frank Ocean actually just dropped. Like, it happened. I was leaving work. I was working at Nike at the time. And my girlfriend, Maddie, who I'm still with to this day, this was like 10 years ago. I remember coming home from work and holy shit, Blonde actually came out. We just listened to it in her car we just sat in a parking lot. We just listened to Blonde. That was such a big moment. Can you imagine if Frank Ocean dropped something and we're all in our late 20s now? We're all in our 30s now. You know what I mean? Can you imagine what that would do to us? It is in some way like how Taylor Swift, redoing all of her masters and shit like that, or she got her masters stolen, and so she's redoing all of the albums. And right, that's what it is. And so these albums that these women have grown up with, now they're re-experiencing them at a different age when they also have more of the experiences of the actual albums themselves. And so you sort of get to relive that experience, and it's re-cathartic all over again, but in a completely different way. It would kind of be like that. Wow. Folks, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, be sure to... Whoa. If you're listening to this on Spotify, be sure to... I don't have a question for you guys. What's up? No, that's Apple Podcasts. Oh my God. Dude, I'm so out of practice right now. Apple Podcasts. What's up? How's it going? I don't say how's it going to you. I don't ask you how is it going. I ask you what's up? If you're listening to this on YouTube, watching this on YouTube, sure leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.